To read and understand Revelation, it is important to know how Revelation says it is to be divided. I'm going to show you how to read Revelation. In fact, Revelation's going to show us how Revelation should be read. Revelation shows and proves that God exists, that He controls these things, and that, He works in the world. And He's the one who says, He brings this nation up for judgment and correction, right? So in Revelation 5:1, it says, "And I saw on the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within and on the back side, sealed with 7 seals," right? So it's written on both sides, 2 sides, within and on the back side. So we can see how it's, basically divided in half, right? There's one side and there's the other side. And just to quickly show you one side, at least, you have, right, the seals, right? So opening up the first seal is the beginning of one side. Okay, in 1 Corinthians 15:52, right, this is talking about the resurrection, I believe, and everything, right? So in a moment, in the twinkling, and right, this is also when Christ returns, right? Christ returns, and then in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet, right? So it's the last trumpet, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed, right? So when Christ returns at the last trumpet, and then we'll be resurrected, right? So it's the last trumpet. Revelation 11, the 7th trumpet is the last trumpet. Okay? There's the last trumpet. And then here's right here is where Christ should return. But there's no mention, right? God is knowing all things, and he can tell you what's coming in advance, right? Prophecy. We're His creation. It's like He can work us just like, we can say manipulate, but I'm not saying manipulate in a necessarily bad or good way, but, it's right. It's the same like if we were to manipulate a computer, say changing its CPU or writing code into it, that's neither good or bad. So manipulating the computer that way is easy for us, right? Like, it's no problem. We made it. God made us. We are not equal or greater to God. God's realm is far greater than this realm, this universe that we live in. This is creation. Oh yeah, so what I was getting to, so the Revelation, like I said, God knowing the future. And when Revelation was written, there were no chapters, there was no verse numbers or anything, right? But Revelation is made up of 22 chapters. Where would the very middle or the second half or the start of the second half would be, right? Chapter 12. This is the beginning of the second half, right? So let me see now. Oh yeah, so let me just take it here. Let me see. I got that in there somewhere. Let me see. Do I got it there? Yeah. So here in John 12, right, Jesus talking about His crucifixion and Him being glorified, raised up, and everything, right? Oh yes. So the hour has come that the Son of Man should be glorified. And, right, he goes on, except the corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit, right? So he's talking about His death and resurrection here. Then he continues on, now is my soul troubled, and what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour, but for this hour cause came I unto this hour, right? So again, talking about, His crucifixion there. Then he goes on here in verse 31, now is the judgment of this world. Now is the judgment of this world. Now shall the prince of this world be cast out, right? And I, if I be lifted up from the earth, will draw all men unto me, right? Because Satan is being cast out of heaven, where he is accusing the brethren before God day and night, right? He's cast out of heaven to the earth, right? Because judgment is coming upon the earth, right? He's going to judge the earth now. And then let's go to, Revelation 1. Right, so this is the revelation of Jesus Christ, right? So you see from the first opening of the first seal to the last trumpet, right? Would be revelation here. Revelation means, 602 means disclosure, appearing, coming, lighten, manifestation, be revealed, revelation. So it means, it's a revealing, it's so the last trumpet would be when Christ is revealed, and he was revealed, 2,000 years ago as well. He came to the earth. So to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass, right? And here it says, for the time is at hand. Right, and I don't know if there's any more in here, but there's 22. And to show his servants the things which must shortly be done. And where's the seal not? Oh, here. And he saith unto me, seal not the sayings of the prophecy of this book, for the time is at hand. Oh, let me just do one more. What was that? Little children, it is the last time, and as ye have heard that the Antichrist shall come, even now are there many Antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time. Right? So it's the last time. Do not seal, right? Remember, do not seal in Revelation 22, right? Do not seal, because the time is at hand. In Daniel, it says seal it, because it's for later. And here in Revelation 22, it's saying, do not seal, because the time is at hand. It's like now it's coming, right? What would that be? What is coming? Which must surely come to pass. What's the first thing to come? What's the first thing to come? Is the first seal, right? Opening up the first seal. And then you start reading it, right? So that's, and, okay, maybe I'll show you something else. While we're here, I guess. Well, Revelation 4, many like to claim or profess that this is referring to, a rapture of the church. Pre-tribulation, they're saying that, and immediately I was in the Spirit. And I will show thee things which must be hereafter. Right? And it says, immediately I was in the Spirit. So right there, they're taking it, well, comes after the churches. So then this, they're saying this comes after the churches. So, and then they're immediately in the Spirit. So this is the rapture of the church. But that's not possible, because this is actually before the church. And we're going to see this. It's not even possible this could be after the churches, and immediately I was in the Spirit, and behold, a throne was set in it, and one sat on the throne. Right? And this is God. This is God the Father that's sitting on the throne right now. And you'll see that this is all talking about being around the throne room, right? The four beasts that are around there, and give glory to him who sat on the throne, who lives forever, and they all, thou art worthy, O Lord. This is talking about God the Father, to receive glory, honor, and power. For thou hast created all things, and for thy pleasure they are and were created. This is God the Father who did all this for his own pleasure, right? And he did it through his word, Christ, his Son. And so then next carries on, right? And I saw in the right hand of him that sat upon the throne a book written with the backside and seals of the seven seals, right? So this is the scroll, like of Revelation. And no one was worthy to open the book. No one. This man is not in here. Like you'll see, man is not actually in the sentence. I mean, you could say a man, but you could say anything. Anyone. Doesn't matter who. Right? There you go. So, not even one. And not even one, right? Man, woman, or thing. Right? Nobody. Nothing. That's what it's saying, right? No one. That means no angel, no one, nothing. No man, no animal, no one, right? You can't say God the Father himself, because he's the one who actually, obviously written the scroll and sealed it. So God would be the only one who would know would be in there, and no one was worthy to open it except for Christ. Like no one in heaven, on earth, or under the earth was worthy to open it, except for the Lion of the tribe of Judah prevailed to loose the seals thereof. And said, in the midst of the elders stood a lamb as it had been slain. So this is Christ right after he's been slain, right? And he's before the throne in heaven, which, right, you go to Mark 16. Let's just maybe we can quickly run there. Mark 16. I think it's the very end, I think. The second last one. And then after the Lord had spoken unto them, he was received up into heaven and sat on the right hand of God. So he was caught up to God's throne, right? When he went up. So he took the book and opened the seals, right? So Revelation 4 is actually before the churches because, right? Jesus had to overcome, and God gave it to him, and he gave it to his angel, right? And his angel gave it to John, and then John wrote it out and sent it to the churches, right? Or gave it to the churches. And then he's talking to the churches in 2 and 3, right? And then, but it jumps back in time. And what's coming after? He says, and I will show you the things which must be hereafter. Well, that would be starting with the first seal, is what's coming after. Because 4 and 5, chapters 4 and 5, are before even chapter 1, even before the churches, because you can't have the churches, I can say, and then Christ talking to the churches to give them the scroll, and that was before he even had the scroll. That doesn't even make sense, right? So you can see anyways that is not the rapture of the church. This is going backwards, back in time. Okay, so there's that. Then, and the sixth angel sounded, right? So there's the sixth trumpet right there. And then here at 10:11, and he said unto me, thou must prophesy again before many peoples, nations, and tongues, and kings. And prophesy again is through the idea of oscillatory repetition. So you remember, right? God said it was written on the inside and the backside, on two sides, right? So he's saying prophesy again, repeat it over. And this is just, right? This is just before the seventh trumpet, right? Where's the seventh trumpet? There's the seventh trumpet right there. And just before these prophets must be killed, if you recall, seal. Is it the fifth seal? I think it was the fifth seal. Yeah, the fifth seal, right? This is, and they cried, saying, how long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth, right? And they were told that they should rest yet for a little season until their fellow servants, their brethren, should be killed as they were killed, should be fulfilled. Right, so there's some more that need to be killed, right? And then we have these two prophets at least, right? Killed and then resurrected right here there's the seventh trumpet, right? The last trumpet. All right, and then 12, you can see it starts over again. It goes back in time. It goes back in time. This is like the backside, right? And this is Israel. The woman clothed with the sun and the moon, like, Jerusalem. The city of, when Christ was around and everything, that, Rome was ruling over, right? 12 stars, right? And with a child, right? Because Christ came from the tribe of Judah and Israel, right? Pain to be delivered, the great red dragon, and I'm going to, right, this is, Satan, and Satan is working through, right, Rome, and we have, and, right, stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered to devour her child as soon as was he born, right, and that was Christ, right, in Herod, when he wanted to kill all the children 2 years and under, right, because this is a revelation of Jesus Christ, and the second half is from, the birth of Christ, to his resurrection, to his return, to his rule on earth, to him, giving the kingdom to God in eternity, right? That's the other side. And the other side is like, the seals to the last trumpet. And and this is Israel. This, Jerusalem and the temple and all of this. This is what this is. This is Satan being cast down, right? If I be lifted up, right? Satan is cast down for judgment. And so this is the destruction of Israel, in 70 AD, right? And we're going to see the timeline here. It's all going to work. If you read this, you're going to see that, right? And then he goes out to and if you also remember to the churches, where was his throne? Where did he say his throne was? It was in one of the churches, or in one of the cities of the churches. And the dragon was wroth, and the woman went make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. So now this is the Christians, right? He's gone and Israel's destroyed the city, and now he's going after the Christians. And in 13, right, 13 up, the beast rises up, and the dragon gave him his power, his seat, and great authority. All right, so right in here, 12 and 13, well, 12, 17, but for sure, 12. Revelation 13:1. This is, the first seal. Remember the rider on a white horse. This is where you're going to see. This is where this would become like in Constantine, and this is, if you remember, if you know from my other videos or video or whatever I got out there, this is the 3-in-1 beast coming up out of the earth or out of the sea, right? And Rome gives its power and seat and great authority to this 3-in-1 beast. So you can see there's the seal and how that fits just right in history of time. And if you're reading this correctly, right? If you're taking the 95-ish AD of John penning, Revelation, if you take it from that time, then it would fit in just here or just after here. The Trinity was starting to be developed slightly before, Constantine and everything, because it was done by the church. And then, right? And then this comes up in Rome in somewhere between 380 and 400, or I don't know, whatever it is. Rome adopts the Trinity as its only God. This is our God. And, right, and that fits right in there. It can be shown that it is Rome, the fourth nation of Daniel, like in Daniel 2. And you can see this, Genesis, about Joseph shows that it's Rome, that this is Rome, right? Because he was in Canaan. His brothers were jealous of him and wanted to murder him, but instead they sell him, and then those merchants or whatever, hand him over to Egypt, right? Rome, where Joseph Christ, right? Was falsely accused and put in prison, and the two criminals, one be given life and one death. And he's raised to the throne, right? Christ, we just read where Christ was, when he went up, go sit on, the right hand of God on his throne, right? And then you have at the end there where they need to be saved again, right? Moses has to deliver them from Rome.